Good morning, everybody. And I know there's some people joining as we go back, but I want to personally thank Michelle and Richard Bufkin, President of TargetLeads, to do a kind of a joint program today. And I appreciate everybody taking a few minutes out of your workday to be on this call. And hopefully you'll walk away with one or two ideas you can use. What's really good about this thing today, I want to introduce myself for those that don't know me. I'm Don Runge, known as the Lead Guru. And what we have to do as we go today, I think what you'll find out is that as you take a background, this is my 50th year in the business. And here in the picture, you'll see my grandkids, myself. And we're real proud of those 6 grandkids and 3 children. And basically, we all live in Frisco, Texas and Plano, Texas. And moved from Chicago back in 1974. So with that introduction and anything else you want to know about my background, you go to our website, which is leadguru.com. And it'll tell you a little bit more history about us and our background. But the neat thing about this today is that we're going to be able to focus on, I'm going to try to focus on 3 different topics, which is kind of unusual because we have a short period of time to do it. Most of what I do are seminars and workshops around the country and private consulting. And most of it's been in the senior market, but we've done things in the ordinary market, which you'd call underage. So as we go today, do please take Michelle up on her advice and text in your questions, and I'll address those at the end. We probably won't cover as much as you want to cover by each subject because, 30, 35 minutes doesn't give you a lot of time. So what I'd like to do is start out, and we're going to talk about, this is the thing I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you do. With the ever-changing lack of phone numbers available, the number of people you can call gets shorter and shorter, more limited. But the other one is, what do I do with all those people that don't have phone numbers I can call? And the other one is, how come I can't get people to answer the telephone? It's kind of like I call my own clients that don't answer the phone. And I'll call them sometimes 20 and 30 times in 2 months and they don't answer the phone. So we've got to figure out ways today on how to address that subject. So what you have to have, first of all, in my opinion, is a good excuse when you do talk to them. You have to have a real good excuse. If you don't have that excuse in your mind when you call, then you're going to waste a call. So when you do get somebody on the phone, you got to be ready. Now, the question we're trying to address today is, how do I get more people to answer the telephone? Well, if I can answer that one for sure, I know I can retire tomorrow. But what we've done is we came up with some ways to increase your probabilities of having people at least return a phone call to you. So let's just put it this way. If you're calling people and you're not reaching them, say you're working a direct mail lead, internet lead, whatever type of lead you do work, or just a name off a calling list, like a senior list. What we've been doing now live, and we're doing this as I speak to you, we've been doing this last week. We were up in Newark, we were up in Baltimore, we were in Charlotte. So as we're making our tour to the East Coast, Northeast Coast, this came up several times. What we've been doing now, or suggesting that you do, is if you don't reach them on the telephone and they get a voicemail, then leave a strong voicemail message. Now, by a strong voicemail message, I don't mean to say something like, hey, Ted, this is Don Runge. I'm a licensed agent with XYZ Insurance Company. I'd like you to call me back because I want to talk to you about insurance. They're not going to call you back. I really believe, and we've been testing this, if you leave a good short message but don't give out a lot of information, you're going to substantially increase your opportunity for them to call you back. Now, a lot of times you're screening their calls. Sometimes they're actually not there, but a lot of times they're just screening the call. So you got one option that you can use and leave a message to them and just say, hey, Mary, this is Bob. I don't say Mr. or Mrs. That sounds like a telemarketer. Hey, Mary, this is Bob. I'm a licensed professional with XYZ Insurance Company or agency. Please give me a call back regarding some changes in blank. In blank, whether it's Medicare, whether it's final expense, I don't really care what it is. You need to leave a generic message where they'll call you back. So when I say, hey, Mary, this is Don, licensed professional from XYZ Insurance Company or agency. Give me a call back regarding some Medicare changes that are important for you to know about. Call me back before 6 o'clock today, or I'm just going to drop by in the next couple of days since I've been late getting back to you. Goodbye. Now, couple things. First of all, you said to them, I'm going to be dropping by if you don't call me back to set up a specific time. you will find out that 30 to 40% of those people or better will say, wait a minute, this guy Don is coming by, Harry, unless we call him back today. We better call him back today. So first of all, the approach to this is getting to call you back so that now you've got a person that you can't answer the phone or going to voicemail all the time are actually going to call you back. So the second part to this is you've got to be ready for the call back. When they call you back, and I gave them a specific time, call me back before 6. Well, that puts a sense of urgency into them running to call you back. Secondly, if they do really seriously don't want you coming or are curious about you coming, they will call you back. So now you're getting somebody that you just have voicemail after voicemail, call after call with no response. Now, whether this is a direct mail lead, whether this is an internet lead, whether this is a senior list that you've been calling, it doesn't make any difference. We're actually having about 30 to 40% of the people that we're leaving these type of messages to on a voicemail that are actually calling us back. So now you can take part of that frustration out because they will. And when they call you back, you got to be ready with a good short approach and a good excuse to start that conversation and convert that call back into an appointment. So that's one way you can go about this. Now, second way or second option that you have is you could actually send out a postcard, which TargetLead does a great job, or a letter, short letter, that basically says, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Don with XYZ Insurance Company. Listen, I apologize. We haven't been able to reach you. But with this healthcare retirement crisis, we've been running way behind. I need to get with you and go over the Medicare and You booklet with some important changes that can affect your decision-making regarding your healthcare and retirement. I'm going to be dropping by in the next several days as a courtesy call, but if you'd rather set a specific appointment, call me back before 6 o'clock today. Goodbye. That letter will preheat that lead. It'll get their attention, and you cause them to have a sense of urgency in getting back to you. So again, you got to be prepared when they call you back to talk to them very quickly, very shortly, without getting into an insurance confrontation. So in either case, whether it's a voice message or preheating the call by sending out a letter to the take the people on the do not call list. Great place to send a letter. You can even do it to people that have responded. What you're doing is you're causing people who hesitate to answer the phone or are calling or screening your calls to now a call to an action. If you don't call me back, I'm coming by. So those are two options you have to really work some of the lists where you're having a hard time for people that won't answer the telephone. And you know they're there, or you think they're there, or you are screening your calls. And then again, another course of action is when people really haven't done any course of action, but you've told them that you're going to be coming by. So you can take a list of seniors that have been mailed that have not responded. When you order your leads, you get a responses plus a non-responder list. So you can take both of those now and capitalize on getting more contact back and having you not have to call them time after time after time and get frustrated. So those are two options you have. I use the Medicare and You booklet because that is a focal point of seniors, whether they're turning 65 or they're 77 years of age or 80 years of age. Medicare, with all the hype it's got right now, with all these politicians running for office and all the hype on advertising about free Medicare and all that stuff is interesting to them right now because they're confused, frustrated, don't know what the answer is. So you're focusing on something that is in their mind every single day, including me. We want to know what the outlets are going to be. I want to know what my rights are going to be. What are my options? I may have the public. If there's still going to be a private choice, I want to know what that is. And I want to know what everything is about Medicare and my options. So those are two definite options you have to work in that arena where you're being frustrated day by day. And I think it's really kind of this last one or option would be carefully choose the times that you're going to make your phone calls. Think about the senior market. You don't want to call them a lot during the afternoon. You don't want to call them in the late morning. You want to get them early morning, mid-morning, You want to get them early evening or on Saturday morning. Saturday morning still has been proven the best time to get the people to answer the phone. So between 9 and noon on Saturday, it still has the highest penetration rate of people actually answering the phone calls. So if you want to get more contact, strategically think about when you should call. Just don't pick the phone up and start calling throughout the day. You waste a lot of time. We do live phone sessions right now, calling a senior list of people during the daytime. Well, I'm going to do one next week again with brand new agents. We'll pick up, in the course of 2 hours of calling, we'll get about 1 to 1.5 people to actually book an appointment with us during a calling period, during an hour. Now, we might have to make, there might be 25 people that don't have a listed number anymore, even though we got the list. There may be 25 people that don't answer the phone, but we'll get at least 1 to 1.5 appointments an hour, calling anywhere from 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you want a better hit rate, you call a little later in the day, a little earlier in the morning, or on Saturday morning. Those are little tips that you can use for sure that will give you a way to get those people to pick the phone up more. So just don't randomly start calling and say, I've called for an hour, I didn't reach anybody. So yeah, that's typical. So you just might have picked the wrong hour. They might have been at the doctor. Seniors go to the doctor a lot during the week, and they're gone for 3 hours. And then they're tired when they get back. So you got to look at all those different nuances in today's marketplace. So I hope some of this helps you have a little bit better idea of what we're looking for and helping you in that area. Now, strategy for working won't answer. Content should indicate how you've been trying to reach them. Stress that you're going to drop by unless they call, and use the Medicare and U-Book as an excuse or retirement crisis as an excuse. All those things are legitimate excuses. So look at those opportunities for yourself. Route your calls. When you're going out there and you have an appointment set, let's say at 10 o'clock, make sure you've got 4 or 5 other drop-by calls before that appointment that you can make or contact, and 4 or 5 contacts after that call. I would not chase one direct mail lead down and think it's going to be there 100% of the time. You've got to bulk up your appointments. You've got to bulk up your activity in that marketplace. Cluster that activity. It's very important. Direct mail leads, by the way, once it's past 90 days, you have to go out and see them in person anyway. So if you can't reach them by phone, that's why we're using those 2 techniques I introduced to you today. You're going to have to go and contact them in person. So utilize every possibility. Try to figure out better times to call in your marketplace. There might be certain circumstances, bad weather. It's bad weather, you're going to get a higher hit rate. If it's hot conditions like we have in Texas right now, the seniors don't go out during the day. They'll go out early morning and get home. So the afternoon might be appropriate to call. But in all cases, leave a strong voicemail message along the lines of what I gave you earlier, and you'll be happier with your responses. Don't go into it, my opinion, don't go in and say, well, you sent this card back and you wanted to buy $10,000 of insurance. I would not use that as one of the approaches. You might want to use some of the approaches I have on my training material. They've been field tested for years. They work. They still work today. I train with them, and we have great results with people. So again, I can't change the fact that somebody won't pick up the telephone, but through the mail, through maybe an email, different situations, even if you use email and you have their address, don't get into an insurance discussion. Just mention to them, please call me back before today, or I'm going to be stopping by in the next couple of days. It's important I get with you. Cause that sense of urgency to call you back. That's the secret to this area. So I hope that helps you a little bit. And I'm sure they have some questions. Now, strategy. Leave a voicemail, as we said. Be short. Don't try to talk about insurance. Stress Medicare and healthcare retirement or retirement benefits. Approach example, as I gave you one before. Hey, Mary, this is Don. I'm a licensed professional with XYZ Insurance Company. I've been trying to reach you. It's important that I go over some of the recent changes in Medicare or the changes regarding retirement benefits that you lost when you retired. Call me back before a certain time today, or I'll be dropping by in the next several days to catch up with you. Hey, thank you. Have a great day. Have the other drop-by leads already sorted out in your area. So that's a summary of what we've been talking about when it comes to that. Now, handling appointment objections is topic 2, which we talked about. I get this a lot. Handling objections is kind of interesting. We've been trained in this industry, in my opinion. I ran a session last week in Newark for about 30 minutes. Objections are more mindset kind of things. And there's not really an objection. What it really is you haven't said anything of interest to me to continue on to book the appointment or to give me a check. You've got to make it to the point where it causes them to action. Objections come up because people have preconceived notions about your call or your contact or your door knock. They already preconceived in their mind 1 or 2 things to say to you, like, and I'm going to go through a litany of these for you today. I'm sure you'll have more. But if you really look at what the objections are, they're pretty commonplace. Not interested, the first one. The way I go back and train on this today is, sorry, Mr. Jones, I guarantee you I heard what you said, and I will try to be interesting. And if I'm not, because the material isn't very interesting, and if I'm not interesting, ask me to leave early. You might think that's corny, but see, I listened to what they said. They didn't say that I wasn't interesting, and they didn't say they were interested. What they really said was the material is not very interesting, and maybe they met an agent before or a salesperson who wasn't very interesting, and they were bored to death. So if the material's not interesting and you're not very interesting, then they really aren't interested. Second one, I just bought. Great, Mr. Jones, or great Karen, or great Tom. By the way, if you didn't buy, I don't think the material will have as much value to you today as it would have if you never bought. Great, and most of the time if you bought, it's going to be more interesting to you what I have to say. So it's Tuesday better or Wednesday. I'm well covered. Mr. Jones, I assumed you were covered. If you weren't covered, I probably would hesitate coming to see you today or tomorrow, whenever it's going to be. So I'm great you're covered. By the way, are you covered completely or partially? And what are you covered for? I don't know any of that. So when they say they're well covered, Mr. Jones, I assume you're already well covered being in a retirement situation. However, there's some extended healthcare and retirement options that you never converted when you retired that most people didn't know they were there. I'll cover those, and I think you'll thank me for coming, and then I'll be on my way. I have an agent. Mr. Jones, I would be shocked if you didn't by now that you don't have an agent. I'm not sure what type of agent you have, but I'm more than happy to call your agent and coordinate what I'm going to talk about. And usually your agents, when they show up, they are really well pleased with what I covered. So tell me who they are, and I'll call them now. I have to talk with my children first. Obviously, Mr. Jones, if you confide in your children, that's important. Who would you like me to call? Which of your children can I call to have available when we meet? Because it's important that we have your children there if they're important in the decision process. Let's have them there so I don't have to make more calls than one. I'm going on vacation. Mr. Jones, I am too. You know, seniors tell you they're always going on vacation. You know what? And that's a great excuse. But they don't go on vacation for 6 months. They don't go on vacation 6 times a year. They put you off because what you usually say is, oh, where are you going? How long are you going to be there? You must be working with Priceline. This is not a conversation about their vacation. What they're telling you is say something that causes me to go into action to meet with you. And whatever you're saying to them, the way you're saying it, they're not convinced they should take time out of their day to meet with you. So again, remember, vacation doesn't mean, like, don't take it verbatim. It's just conversation 90% of the time. If they say they're going on vacation, here's a great answer. That's okay. I'm going to be in your area anyway. You should put that comment I just made into your mind and use it most of the time without saying anything else. That's great, Karen. I'm going to be in your area anyway. I'll just drop by, introduce myself so you know I'm not a stranger. But I'm going to be gone. I don't care if they're gone 2 weeks, 6 months. I'm going to be in your area anyway. So I'm going to drop by, shake your hand, and make sure you know who I am so I won't be a stranger any longer. So I won't take a lot of time. And if you have a lot of questions when I get there, I'll be glad to try to answer some. So it's Tuesday better or Wednesday? Hear what they said, acknowledge what they say, and then you can ignore it unless they say it again. Acknowledge what they said. Oh, you're going on vacation? So am I. I heard you. I hope you heard me. Now, by the way, is Tuesday better or Wednesday when I come by? I don't have a lot of time. I hope you don't have a lot of questions. I'm going to be in your area anyway. Understand, we start to panic if they don't agree right away to have me come. You've got to fight for the appointment. It just doesn't happen because you made a call or you had a mail card or an internet lead or some other type of lead. You've got to sound like you already know what they're going to say and acknowledge it and just make them feel better and say, I'm coming. This time better or this time better. I don't like strangers coming to my home. Mr. Jones, Karen, whatever you want to say, I understand. I don't particularly like him coming to my home either. So we make arrangements, either come to our office, we can meet you at a senior center, at a local area church if that's more comfortable, or your favorite restaurant. You're giving them choice closes. And I guarantee when we meet Mr. Jones or Karen, you're going to find I'm not a stranger after the first 5 minutes. And if I appear to be too much of a stranger to you, you always have the right to say, look, I really don't want to talk any further. So give them some options of where they want to meet. Coming to their home is okay. They may be uptight, maybe just don't like anybody in there. It's all right. Maybe they're a hoarder and don't want to embarrass you coming inside. I don't know, but offer them the option of the church, senior center, restaurant, or our office. Kill that objection. I know all about Medicare. Mr. Jones, I'm sure you know a lot about it, but the recent changes have just come out and they come out daily. It changes all the time. In the Medicare and You book, you said you didn't have that book. Listen, Mr. Jones, and probably it's complex and confusing anyway. So even if you read the Medicare and the latest information, I can tell you, Mr. Jones, most of the time the government doesn't explain things in plain English. I'm certain you'd agree to that. I'll guarantee you, I will, and I've been trained to explain your rights and your options and entitlements in plain English. And again, I don't have a lot of time. I hope you don't have a lot of questions. But I will make sure you understand important things you need to know since you're retired and lost all your insurance benefits. I really can't afford it. I hear this, Mr. Jones or Tom. I hear this, and I'm on the phone now. Who told you you can't afford it? Well, I just don't think I can. I work on a fixed income. Great. If you have a fixed income, I'll guarantee you, you can't afford what we're talking about. But first of all, rather than talk about price, let me make sure we lay it straight. I want to come by and go over your rights, your options, and your entitlements first, because I'm not sure whether you're qualified or interested at all to do anything further. So with that in mind, is Tuesday better or Wednesday? So there you have some direct answers. Now I role play with audiences for an hour on these different objections and things we do. Objections are not there. They're spontaneous responses. They're just an action to a reaction. You're reacting the first thing they say. They're reacting the first thing you say. I caught you off guard. I have to be ready to know that you're going to be caught off guard. So compliment them and use their information back as often as possible. Don't try to create new things. Use what they're saying is important. Let them feel good about the fact that you understanding what they said was important, but don't panic because they said it. So handling objections is really great. It's a lot of fun if you're ready for them. If you're not, it's not a lot of fun. So you got to be ready. Closing techniques. We're kind of switching up subjects. We're covering 3 areas today. Closing techniques takes a lot of practice. But you know what? If you're a good listener, you can actually be a good closer. The person talking is not necessarily a good closer. The person talking who can't hear the objections. If you're listening, you can hear what they really said, just like on the phone when I give you those techniques. Listen to what they say. You don't have to take everything verbatim. So when you're going through your presentation, and I don't know what prior presentation you use or whatever, so it's kind of a tough area I'm going in here, but the listening skills will help you in the closing process. So as you're going through the closing process, however you use it, ask questions. Closing is asking good questions. If you ask a question, they say, I can't afford it. Mr. Jones, who told you that? Well, I really don't think I need it. Mr. Jones, that's fine. I'm not sure who told you you don't need it. But would you rather use an insurance company's money? Would you rather use your money? And so you got that, you put that together. Now let me go through and give you a 4-step closing process. This process works regardless of whatever you've been trained to do. is something that really I came upon, and it really works and makes things simple. It won't confuse them. I don't get talking about product. Once you've established a need, then you're start to go for closing when you establish the need. Now you're going to ask them, whatever point in time during your presentation that you're ready to close finally, and you've been closing all the way during your conversation. Always be closing. You've heard that saying before. Always be closing, listening for clues, and then asking a question to reiterate what they said. He's already got it. Oh, great, Mr. Jones, I didn't have it. If you didn't have it, it'd probably make this more difficult with our conversation. Can I ask you why you haven't done this? You can do those kind of things, but let me simplify it. There's a question that came up, and I asked it to kind of take them from whatever we've been and bring them right into the closing session. Mr. Jones, let me ask you a question. We've been having a long conversation today, and I know we've thrown out a lot of ideas, but I'm going to ask you a real personal question, and really you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. And they go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is it your intention to cause an extra, the word extra is very important, an extra financial and or emotional burden to your loved ones when one of the two of you pass on, or one of the two of you have an extremely costly healthcare bill? And they go, no. And remember, I'd have to want to cause an extra financial or emotional burden to each other or their family. One of the biggest reasons for bankruptcy in the United States right now is unpaid healthcare bills, final expenses that occurred because of a healthcare tragedy. If you have an operation that costs $62,000 and you don't have it, and you don't have the proper coverage, you could go bankrupt. So I'm saying to you, and you don't want to pass that burden to your family, because they don't want to leave a burden to their family, whether it's to their spouse or their children. So that question says, is it your intention to cause an extra financial and or emotional burden to your loved ones? And what they say 99.9% of the times, no, I would not want to do that. Now, that sets you up for the next question, closing question. May I ask you why you haven't exercised blank? Your final expense option, your income replacement option, your healthcare option, your asset protection option, whatever your product is that you're trying to present as the solution, it becomes an option. Now, options can run out, or they may not be qualified for that option. They may want to exercise, but they got a health problem. They got a money problem. They got some problem. So now you're putting the question mark is, why haven't you exercised this particular option? Because again, this could cause a burden if you don't have coverage. Now, the way to take them off the hook a little bit and still qualify them is, Mr. Karen, you probably have a healthcare issue you're concerned about, like cancer, diabetes, stroke, something like that. And they'll usually tell you right at that point, your underwriting right here, they're going to tell, no, I don't have any of that, or we got a slight case of diabetes, or whatever. But they usually say, no, we don't have any. I have a problem, but Bob doesn't have a problem. So why haven't you exercised that option? Is it because of your health, or you didn't know you had an option? So you're giving them a lot of ways out right now. I could easily say to you, well, we didn't even know we had this option. We lost those benefits when we retired, and we didn't know, other than health insurance, that we had options that were still out there. Well, the government's made it available to you. They've said, hey, we're not going to cover this anymore, but outside health insurance, a little bit of that, you have these options to now own your benefits. When you had your group insurance, Mr. Jones and Karen, you were renting your benefits. Hear me carefully on this one. When they had group insurance, they were renting their benefits. They didn't own them. They could lose them. The company could stop helping pay for them, or the company could stop their benefit package. Now they're retiring, and the government said, hey, you no longer have this, but you find a good insurance agent, you can own your benefits if those options are still available and you're qualified. So then the final question is, well, Mr. Jones, if you didn't know you had an option, you don't really have any healthcare problems, there could be only one reason left that you haven't exercised this option. You probably can't afford to set aside $1 to $3 out of your fixed income. Or you could say you can't afford $8 or $9 or $10 out of your fixed income, depending on what product you're presenting. And I do it on a daily basis because they can understand more why they can afford this. If you say $300 a month, they're going to tell you they can't afford it. So the clue in closing in the senior market, in my opinion, is going through these 4 questions and making sure they don't want to leave a burden, making sure they know they didn't have an option and it's available and they didn't know it, making sure they don't have any healthcare issues that we need to know about, and then telling them finally, listen to the question. You probably can't afford to do this. I'm telling them that before they tell me that. And then when I break it down daily figure, they're going, well, what in the heck can you buy for $1 or $3 or $8 a day? You can't buy very much. So the final closes, you would be surprised what you could buy if you qualified. The next thing they say to you is, how do I qualify? Just out of curiosity. I need to ask you some more questions. You're into your application. So the closing process is setting up the right mindset, making it logical, take the emotion out of it, and making it practical and making it doable. That's the closing process that will really help you engage and close more business, no matter what other closes you put into your presentation. So with these 3 things in mind, how can I get more appointments? How can I avoid people not answering the telephone? What kind of objections, whether they're objections you can use on the phone or objections in your presentation? I've tried to give you some clues on how to handle those, whether you're making phone calls, door knocks, or presentations. And then the final closing step in a nice packaged step-by-step process. When you go logical and you take the emotion out of it and sit down, there'll be emotion anyway. And if they don't have coverage, they got the wrong type of emotion. They cry and have the wrong tears. If they have the coverage, they tie like you just won the Super Bowl. They cry out of joy that good things have happened and we're not devastated and we're not left an extra financial and emotional burden. So with those in mind and that quick overview for you today, I hope you picked up a tip or 2 without me going through a 6-hour workshop for you. But we are going to make you an offer, by the way, to buy some more material at a great price today, where you got 4 and 5 hours. You can sit back with a workbook and go through the material and really pick up some of the things I can't cover in 35 or 40 minutes. So with that in mind, let me go to the point where we're just going to go into some questions. And that I guess you've been sending some questions through, and I'll turn it back to Michelle now to help me with the questions and also to make you an offer from TargetLeads today, a special offer, and a special offer from us. For $59, you're going to buy a 5.5-hour training program with a workbook. You're not going to touch that in the week anywhere. Okay, Michelle, I'll turn it to you for questions.
Can y'all hear me? I had my phone on mute, so I wanted to make sure. All right, first, before we do the questions, I want to show some offers for those that were able to stay to the end. All right, so I'm going to move this. So TargetLeads, for joining the webinar today, is offering $25 off your lead order by August 14th. So just mention it. All the sales reps know, and they will apply that to your order. List order or mailing is fine. All right, and then we're going to move down. And Don, do you want to talk about your offers real quick?
Yeah, the offer here, normally it's about $119 in shipping and handling and postage and all those kind of things. This is our staple program, which has scripts in it, approaches in it, options in it, techniques, every type of lead you want to work. And when you start working with Target and get the list, from there, the list and leads both, we're showing you all the best stuff in my 50 years of doing this business and building and working with almost 90 insurance companies in the final expense and Medicare markets. You'll have these information that you can use. It's all packaged neatly in a CD format or a DVD format, and it comes with a workbook. And now you hear it, see it, write it, read it, you're going to learn it. You just can't hear it today and be able to pick up everything we just covered. So you're not going to get a better idea. It's good for 48 hours. And you go to code, use the code GURU59 at checkout. Copy and paste the link and take advantage of that offer. And you see the website right below. So go to https://leadguru.com/product/webinar 59 special. Boy, that's a mouthful right there. I'm not sure I could type all that in there, but what you'll find out is the stuff I've covered today, I've taken little tidbits out of 5.5 hours and 50 years of experience. So hopefully it's in the condensed version. Take advantage of your offer. So Michelle, why don't we go ahead and go to the questions?
All right, sounds good. Let's see. Let me move past some of these. Let me first say I do notice that there are some questions. It looks like it's regarding TL Lead Manager. I will address those not on this webinar. I will write those down and we will reach out regarding.
We'll tell you, Michelle, to interrupt. For you, I'd get that TL Manager, man, because you can maximize the leads you're going to work and build your own database. But I'm sorry about that, but I'd get that.
That's okay. All right, so we have a question from Ralph. Do you have phone scripts for a guide on the different leads?
Yes, they're on our material, and I go through door knocking as well as phone approaches, and again, some of the other current material that we have, we've got in other distributions. We've got over 100 hours of training, but we're making a special offer on this one. But it does include phone scripts, door knocks, closing, objections, control questions, controls all that. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have? We have a question from Amy. How early on a weekday morning is good to call?
You know what? And everybody's got different. Whatever the call laws are, but I mean, we've called as early as 8:30 in the morning because seniors get up at 5 o'clock. I mean, I'm a senior. My wife gets up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to 7:30, but they get up early and they shut down early. That's the only thing you always remember. But again, there's times I would feel comfortable 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. You're going to get them there till about 10:30, quarter to 11. That's always a good power time to call. A lot of times, again, we've been calling at 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and the way I have to do it right now with the training I do, and we're having some pretty good luck. I mean, we had 12 new agents in class last week, and we called Monday at 10 o'clock. We called till 1:30, and we booked 65 appointments with 12 agents calling, brand new, second day in their class. So it's, I don't know. I just call all the time. I don't think you never call too much. But you can waste some time also. If you get in a rut and you're not talking to anybody for an hour, 2 hours, take a break. Make a note of it though. But morning times are usually better times to call, or early afternoons and evenings like 6:30. Or Saturdays. Saturdays are great. We've got people that are calling on Sundays now and having great luck. So I know it doesn't sound unusual because nobody talks about that. I want to call when people are home, not when I want to call. That's the real secret.
Okay. All right, we do have a few of the same type of questions, so I'm going to summarize it. Do you happen to have like a phone script that you could offer that they could use, or a pre-approach letter that can be used?
Well, we've got some stuff now that I was at work, and that one pre-approach letter I kind of read it aloud to you I use now with some of our clients. But we can probably make arrangement for you guys. If you guys are working with TargetLeads and you're working with our training material, I'll be happy to take a phone call and work with you all on that. But as far as just handing out phone scripts and things like that, it's usually embedded in our materials or when we're working with our clients. And I'd be happy, since Target's sponsoring this, that if you all want to drop me an email or something, if you're purchasing our material, I'd be happy to show you how to use that material and give you some added material.
Okay. Do you have any tips for increasing referrals from clients?
Yes. Referrals, and it's a whole new subject there. We can go on that for a couple hours. But referrals, the way you do the referrals is you get them in the warm-up, not the end. You set the referrals up in the beginning when you're marketing as opposed to selling. And there's a process we have in one of our other training programs called Market Your Way In, Sell Your Way Out, refer yourself back forever. So in the warm-up, by asking some good questions, like, for example, Karen, Bob, how long have you lived in this area? Oh, about 35 years. You must know everybody in the area. You've got to preset getting referrals and then use it at the very back end. And we say, earlier you told me you had friends in the area. Now that we have a relationship, I'd like to ask you extra Z. We have a referral program. We have a sponsorship program with a discount prescription card that works phenomenal. So we have a lot of other things we use in getting referrals. But the secret is, a short answer to you, the secret is asking questions throughout the entire presentation that will let you know and admit that they know people, so they can't tell you they don't know anyone. They may tell you, I don't like your presentation, I'm not going to give anyone, but they can't tell you that normal objection, I don't know anyone. Okay?
All right.
I got a question for Michelle. I see when dressing, when door knocking, how do you dress? You know, if you're in Texas, you're in a hot weather, 105 degrees. You make the senior feel more uncomfortable by wearing a suit and a tie than you would by a polo shirt and some slacks. And so the old days used to be you wear a shirt and a tie. Now, if I'm going to a business owner, I'm going to write $1 million policy, I'll probably put a tie on, which I haven't done in years. But going out with an open collared shirt and just a pair of good dress slacks, you don't intimidate the public anymore. I mean, they feel sorry for you, maybe they let you in because you're sweating to death. I would be more in a relaxed business attire, but I'm not saying going to wear a sport coat. You got to take it off anyway. You're sweating to death. You don't want to get all sweaty. So my opinion is, in working with all these senior people I work with, it's usually an open collared shirt with a pair of slacks and no sport coat, no tie. That's just in general what I see the trend. Anything else, Michelle?
What are your, go ahead. Sorry. Question from Rhett. What are your results of going back through old BRC leads with a postcard to see if they will meet or go over current Medicare changes?
Two things.
So what are your results for going back through leads?
Great results, because here's your point. If a lead's worth about $100, and let's say $40 at least, and $100. But if you got a $40 lead and you tried it once and you didn't get them, I'm going to keep working that lead for a period of time until I convert that lead into giving referrals or buying something. I'm just a little crazy. So you take the BRC, you send that card back out after 90 days saying, sorry, I couldn't get a hold of you, Mr. Jones. It's important I get with you. Send that card out, follow it up with a door knock because you can't call them, and go back out. By all means, work the list, work the old cards. The cards are not old. The people are older. So if I waited 6 months, they're 6 months older. I might have a higher commission based on that premium. So I always don't say the card that's an older lead. It's not. It's an older person that you haven't made contact with first. And by the way, I forgot something. I apologize. If I'm a lady going out, I'm either wearing, I would suggest a skirt or a pair of slacks, those are common sense kind of things. I mean, you know, the attire that's fairly appropriate today. You don't have to overdress, but don't obviously underdress like we're going to the beach. Okay, other questions?
Okay, one from Jesse, and hopefully I can say it correctly, but what about the 100% phone reps that are calling into other states when we cannot go to the phone? What is a major thing that we can do to differentiate, to make us different from other callers? How do you suggest we can do that?
Well, your approach makes everything different. See, the leads are all the same. If you look at the leads and you use a company like Target, which does qualify the leads pretty well by using really accurate public record information, and you're using Lead Manager, all those things. Your key to making leads work, no matter what the lead is your approach to that lead. Your approach makes the lead bad or good. You get yourself away from the typical agent making phone calls, because here's what the typical scripts are. Hi, Mrs. Jones. This is Bob. I'm a CLU with XYZ Insurance Company. So am I. Now, Ms. Jones, you sent this card and you wanted to buy some $10,000 of life insurance. Those people read through that so fast, it's unbelievable. You got to come up with better excuses. Healthcare crisis, retirement crisis, the Medicare and U book. That's a government document they get every year. Nobody ever goes over that with them. That is your best lead you got in the country, is the Medicare and U book, because it's the Bible. Except nobody can understand it and they don't read it. So that gives you all the ammunition you want to sell any product. So you got to be a little bit more of a marketing person with your approaches than a selling person. You don't sell yourself in, you market your way in. So you don't get into insurance until you get in at the kitchen table. Because when you do that early, they don't like insurance people normally, or salespeople. They're afraid of them. So you need to take your new approaches, whether you're calling anyone, and use a marketing approach. I hope that answers that question.
All right. I think that's it on the question and answers. We do have a lot of people who are interested in your classes. So you guys can reach Don directly at leadguru.com. And I think that might be a wrap for this. Anyone that has put their email address on here, I've tried to copy it to send y'all the webinar information. Again, any questions, email us at info@targetleads.com.
Michelle, I'd like to thank you again, Target Leads and Richard Buffkin, and I want to thank all of you for taking your time today. I hope it's worth your time. And again, it's short, trying to make it real concise, but it's, there's a bigger subject matter to this. Thanks again, best of selling, and remember, there's no such thing as a bad lead.
Awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a great day. We hope to see y'all back and hope to hear from you. Thank you, guys.